Set up a committee of experts to spearhead its referendum push, and the big question tonight is CORD's quest for a referendum terrible? Keep sending us your comments on 22422 and on Twitter using the hashtag #TheBigQuestion. Murage SK Kiaragana says, we had the referendum just the other day and we were told katiba ni sasa, na kama si sasa ni sasa hivi. We need not to have another referendum any sooner. It's time to work. And Nashera Kodawa from Taita Taveta County says, yes, it can if and only the referendum is conducted by the IEBC. That's the law, period. Do they want it to be conducted by the IEBC? That's the question. But we'll come back to that later. Our guest in studio tonight, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, who is the Senator of Elgeyo Marakwet County, representing the Jubilee Coalition. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, Senator Kakamega, Dr. Boni Khalwale, representing CORD?
Yes.
But UDF?
Yes.
I don't know how that is possible. I thought UDF is in the Amani coalition, which is
part of
Jubilee
coalition.
Yes. This is possible because there are two schools of thought in UDF. The minority, mainly in the leadership, which believes in the current post-election cooperation with Jubilee.
Right.
But then the majority, which is mainly the non-leadership, the followingship of the party, we are decided that we be where the rest of the Kenyans are.
Okay.
And that is CORD.
Right. Good. You explained that. We won't take so much time on that. My first question to you is, what exactly does CORD want to subject to a referendum? It can be all the issues, obviously. We've talked about the IBC, security, devolving it, and again, devolution. What is it you're subjecting to the referendum?
I think this issue is so nice, so attractive, and if Kenyans will allow me to use the word, it is so sexy that people are running ahead of themselves. We cannot, in this meeting, or even tomorrow, or even after a week or a month, say what the question is. The questions that will be put to Kenyans will be arrived at using the structures that we announced today, and specifically the committee of experts. Yeah.
Do those issues make sense to you? Is what he's saying making sense to you?
First of all, let's start by saying a referendum is a constitutional procedure allowed for us to amend our constitution. And when CORD first announced their 13 agenda, they wanted to go the European way, where you have a referendum on any issue. They were talking about living, cost of living, and then our soldiers leaving Somalia and so forth. Yeah. That is untenable. The only provision of referendum in our constitution is Article 257, popular initiative, or whatever amendment we want to do, which touches on certain areas of the constitution, like devolution, as they proposed. Whether that is tenable, it depends on the issues. So any person in this country, not only CORD, has the right to run a referendum, but it depends on the issues. But going by the issues I've seen, if, for example, they bring a referendum to deal with IEBC, or remove IEBC, or remove commissioners, or restructure and come up with a different entity, moving from ECK, IEBC, and then to whatever CORD is wanting to propose, then they will have a problem. They will have a problem of the egg and hen scenario, because to amend the constitution by referendum, you need IEBC. So, and then to remove IEBC, you need IEBC. So they will have a problem of did the hen come first or the egg?
Are you planning this to be done? I mean, will it be handled by the IEBC?
Let me use this one to respond to the issues he has raised, and I'm glad he has agreed with us that we are perfectly within the Constitution in advocating for this particular Constitution. The second point is that all the 13 points that I read out at Uhuru Park, we are alive to those things because of our political experience and our many years in lawmaking. To this extent, we know that there are several things in those 13 points that are going to be sorted out through legislation. And then there are issues in that list that will be sorted out by action from wananchi. And then finally, we have issues that require the referendum. So to show that we are organized, we have created task forces. We have a task force that is working now on corruption, a task force working on national cohesion and inclusivity, and then finally, we have the National Referendum Committee. these roles are divided. The issues that will require legislation will go to the National Assembly, and they will go and to the Senate.
Let me come to that.
Can I just finish? And then the ones that require referendum will then go through Article 257, where, for the purposes of the viewers today, they must know that under Article 257, the role of both houses is not to allow or disallow the continuance of the process. In fact, if either of the house disagrees, that certificate is issued to the president by the speaker of the respective house, and using that one, the president then asks IEBC to then conduct a referendum, which begs me to answer the next question. Now, what do we do with the IEBC that we don't believe in?
Yes.
It is this way. The Constitution speaks to the fact that if you want to amend the Constitution in respect of a commission in Chapter 15 of the Constitution, you have to go to a referendum. If you want to touch on the functions of Parliament, then you go to the referendum. Obviously, if you want to touch on the devolution, then you go to the referendum. And these are the critical things we think are coming. I don't want to speak to them. Okay. And therefore, this is why we told the country at the beginning that we are going to think outside the box. And we have a lot of bugs. Yeah, we have a lot of things that we are going to be pulling out of the back. What you have seen is just one of them.
Okay, can I say this? Yes. First of all, and I'm on record on this. This coalition calls itself Coalition of Reform and Democracy, which of course Khalwale is not a member, because Khalwale was pursuing peace while the others were pursuing reform and democracy. But the issue here is that if you are pursuing reform and democracy, you must live by constitutional procedures that are provided by the law. Khalwale is on record by announcing that they are tired with IBC, they want UN to come and manage their elections so that they can win. But that is not even the issue. It is now amazing to hear that CORD, which had announced that they have no faith in Parliament, are saying that there are certain things they are now going to table National Assembly and Senate for Parliament to pass. Two, and most important, is to say that for any referendum to take place in this country, and this must go on record, because we have the Constitution, as I told you earlier, they are in a quagmire, the egg and the hen scenario. They don't know which one comes before the other. But as a matter of fact, for you to carry any referendum under our Constitution, unless you want to do on constitutional issues, you need IBC and you need one House of Parliament. One House of Parliament must pass. And Article 257 is very clear. It says that, and that House, Hussein, can only closely come to Senate. And let me tell you why. Because even the court legislators, if you saw the clip today, they were not there of National Assembly. It was only the senators. So the most likely house they are going to work with is us. But then for them to do that, they must drop the issue of IBC. They must drop the imagination that you can devolve security. Once they drop those issues and they bring to us, they go back to the draft of Senate, because Senate has its own draft, which is in our committee, the committee I sit in, Legal Affairs Committee, which we had proposed increase of money to the counties and strengthening the institution of the Senate. If they bring that one, they are likely to get our favor.
I have something very important to respond.
Hold on to that.
Very important.
It's very important, and hold on to that. We're taking a very quick commercial break again. Like we said, the big question, of course, tonight is CORD's quest for a referendum tenable. Keep sending us your comments on 22422 and on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. We're right back after this break. Welcome back to The Big Question. Tonight we're asking, is CORD's quest for a referendum tenable? Keep sending us your comments on 22422 and on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. Obadiah Muge from Eldoret says, yes, it's tenable as long as Jubilee leadership does not open up for dialogue. Referendum is tenable. And then Omolo from Kisumu says, CORD seems to be flip-flopping. Dialogue yesterday, referendum today. The questions they are going to have to answer is, are the problems with Devolving currently a result of our supreme law? Keep sending us your comments. And Dr. Boni Khalwale, Senator Kakamega, told me that he had something very important to say just before I took the break.
Exactly. Listening to Senator Murkomen with a lot of respect, it looks like even the senator himself, like many of the followers in Jubilee, are still stuck in Kenya 2013, when the politics were seriously and harshly called versus Jubilee, up to and including the Supreme Court process. And that's why you're saying I was UDF and stuff and stuff. The reality is the referendum is now bigger than CORD. And this is why the secretariat that we have referred to is not the CORD secretariat. It is the OKOA Kenya secretariat, which includes, by the way, for viewers' sake, all the groups, CORD-related, and even Jubilee. As we speak now, we already have 15 issues submitted to our secretariat by the Council of Governors, 15 issues, and 33 issues submitted by the civil society to the OKOA Kenya secretariat. So this thing has since become bigger than CORD. We now better realize that we are now dealing with a public that has realized that the elections are well behind us.
If you want to respond to that, or should I ask him a question?
No, I just wanted to say that we have come from their Senate. We understand. As I said, we already have certain issues that we thought it should go to referendum. In fact, what's important for a referendum process is, one, there must be consultation and dialogue. CORD has already announced that they don't like dialogue. They can't dialogue with anybody. They are just stamping that we must do what we must do. Two is that for you to achieve what you want to achieve in life, it's about timing. Timing is everything. I mean, we agreed even as Senate when the situation was volatile that we needed to reschedule our referendum to our position. So there are certain issues that Council of Governors, MCS in Kenya, and the Senate had already agreed, and they're there. The draft is already there.
Yeah.
The question you ask yourself is timing. One, is this year the right time? This year, for example, we have already passed, we are already in the 2014 budget.
Yeah.
So there's no budget for IBC, for example, to do the referendum. Two is that you are looking at the counties. We are still in the 3 years transition period, because that informed why we suspended the referendum. We said, let us finish the transition period, let the counties begin to work well, so that when we go to referendum, because we're saying, let's not lie to ourselves. Once we go to referendum, it quickly leads to political realignments. And you will find that persons who lost against the governors will start running around campaigning. And the governors will be forced to stop even their job and enter into campaign. That's the MCAs and so forth. I don't think that will work for us. For some of us who believe in devolution, it will not really, it will disrupt the foundation. And that's why you remember when we stopped last year, I said we have suspended this referendum, and hopefully we can have ballot number 7 in the next elections, so that then we can put those questions there. But so as long as the issues remain, issues related to resources going to the counties, and issues related to strengthening of movement of bills between the two houses, and realigning a few things. For example, I have ideas, and we had already put forward that, for example, we might need to readjust certain levels of government to be a little bit lean. And there's nothing wrong, for example, of doing away with CECs in the county and make MCS to be part of the cabinet in the county.
You're speaking for Jubilee here, I believe, and as a senator.
I'm speaking as a senator.
Right.
And there is let me say something that I agree with Boni. In amendment of the Constitution, in something as serious as amendment of the Constitution, there is no position for Jubilee or CORD. The position is for the individual who wants to run to amend the Constitution. Right. You cannot really say that CORD have a position and Jubilee has a position on the issues that need to be amended in the Constitution.
So they will also have issues that need to be amended in the Constitution.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I think Senator said something very important, which I should put on a rider. When you talk about this being the wrong time, please remind viewers that nowhere in the Constitution
of course,
is it specified that a referendum will be there at this or that
time. No,
it's
not. I was talking about practicality.
Talking about the budget, the Senator also remind the viewers that when we kickstart the process the way we did today, it is not going to culminate into a costly exercise, namely carrying out the referendum tomorrow. It's a long process. It's a long, thrown-out process. Probably it will take us 3 months or 4 months for us to be ready with the 1 million signatures. Right. Thereafter, if IEDC is satisfied, another 1 month to confirm. Thereafter, the matter goes to county assemblies. County assemblies have 90 days. So it's a long process. By the time we reach the time of now giving it to an NG at a costly exercise, probably the budget will now be allowing for it.
Right.
You shouldn't be afraid.
How does God assess what the public needs? We had the former Prime Minister and the court leadership saying they were going throughout the country for the last 1 month in the rallies to do a random survey of what Kenyans want. Critics would point to one thing. First, it's only supporters of CORD who are attending these rallies, so that cannot be a random survey that is representative of the Kenyan population. So how do you know Kenyans want what you want?
Exactly. That's why the Constitution contemplated not 12 million signatures, but only 1 million signatures. If 1 million people are disturbed about an issue, the Constitution then allows you to go ahead. So even if, assuming that the only people who are talking to were CORD, if they're sufficiently disturbed, then the referendum allows them to compare their disturbance with the feeling of the other Kenyans. Now, finally, on this issue, why is it now and no other time? Think about the name of the movement, Okoa Kenya. Tunataka kuokoa inji kwa sababu tuko kwa kona mbaya. If we were not in that bad corner, we would be waiting for your 2017 to have another, additional something along the general election. But you cannot wait. You don't want the bombings to go on. You don't want the jobs to be lost. You do not want the cost of living to remain where it is. You do not want.
Exactly, Hussein. I mean, look at the issues that the senator is raising, my colleague here. I mean, he's raising those issues that we are saying we can fix them by using parliament today. We can fix them by providing. You know, one thing that saddens me about CORD is the argument that they cannot share the suggestions, alternative suggestions to what Jubilee has until, last time they told us, until we have a dialogue.
Would you
now
refuse?
they're telling us they will not share what needs to be done in the country until we have a referendum.
Exactly.
I mean, really,
what do we do?
Why do you hide information from the public that perhaps could have saved the nation in the name of using it so that you can gain power?
Do you know
As
why?
I say, let me say this thing. There is all these imaginations about Okoa Kenya. I mean, please. I mean, Raila was a co-principal just the other day. Why didn't he save Kenya that time? All those ministers that are hanging around Khalwale, all of them in the Senate, they are all of them in the Senate with us. There is no track record that demonstrates that they have capability, or they have the intention, or they have the imagination to save this country.
I do not know. Senator, on that one, you have challenged the former Prime Minister, Mbona hakuokoa Kenya. Let me tell you why. Let me respond, sir.
Khalwale is on record. And I can produce the clip if I'm requested. In the last elections, while campaigning for Amani somewhere in Kakamega, he was telling Raila that the only record he left was nusu mkate mkononi na nusu mkeka akikanyaka. That I can tell you, I can produce the whatever. I don't know if he has changed his mind.
Nothing has changed. And I happen to have clarity of mind, including this evening. When you belittle the former Prime Minister that he hakuokoa kitu chochote, can you relax, sir? Be a good listener. When you belittle him, you forget that Raila aliokoa Kenya when he accepted to share his victory with President Kibaki, who had lost and who was sworn at night. I was present at the State House when Kibaki was being sworn in at night. So Raila aliokoa Kenya.
In the rigging.
I was a spectator. Raila aliokoa Kenya by allowing his victory to be shared by President Kibaki. Let's give him that credit, even how much we don't like him. As far as my clip is concerned, there is what we call statecraft and there's what we call stagecraft. So do not confuse stagecraft, which I was using that time, with statecraft that we are talking about now to save our republic.
Senator, Boni, we must live by our words. Whether we say it in Kakamega or in a studio.
The difference is stagecraft and statecraft.
You're calling what they are doing imaginative, the Okoa Kenya. Are you saying that some of these things they're talking about, the problems facing Kenyans, are not there and non-existent?
The problems are there, but the problem is this. The problem of security is there. Insecurity, for example. The suggestions that we expected, take for example somebody like my friend Honorable Kajwang, a man who presided over our immigration department when our borders became the most porous borders for a long time. I mean, what I would have expected from him is to share suggestions to the public to say, you know, I was in office, we failed here and there, and we had a plan to seal this hole and this one. You don't wait until referendum occurs for you to share for your country. And let me say
do you know you're suffering from amnesia? To this extent, you are suffering from amnesia.
Let him finish. Let him finish. I'll give you time to respond. Yeah, just finish.
I mean, we have, Boni knows very well, there are certain language and relationship that we have to deal with. Right. So I'm just saying that that
Kajwang.
Yes, any person who was in office, yeah, whether it is Honorable Kajwang or Honorable Rengo or Honorable Wetangula, who presided over our Foreign Affairs Ministry, and we all know all these things. I mean, what we expect from them is to put those suggestions they have on how to improve the standards of living in this country to deal with insecurity on the table. Like, for example, they have said we should leave Somalia. That is a properly clear, understood suggestion. But what is their suggestion about our insecurity on the porous borders, all those kind of things? Put it on the table. Don't tell us we will only share these things when we get to power.
I was telling you seem to be suffering from amnesia to the extent that it's just a few weeks ago when we were begging you to come for national dialogue so that we would put these things on the table for us to discuss. But that is not my point. My point is, when you try to blame Kajwang, why are you forgetting?
I was using it as an example.
Why are you forgetting that Kajwang, while serving, no arrests were made for him or senior officers at immigration? It is only during the Uhuru government that they arrested senior officers, and all Kenyans remember. So all these immigrants that are causing us problems, who you say Kajwang brought in, might as well have been brought in the last 1 year that Uhuru has been unable to govern the country.
You know very well, Boni, that that's not true. That insecurity problems cannot occur within 1 year in a country.
Okay.
And I want to add this, Hussein, because I've said it outside there in the field. When America faced the September 11th scenario, you know, the Democrats told the Republicans, which were in office, including President Bush, that whatever suggestions you require to assist to manage the country, we are willing to support you. They never demanded dialogue. They never called for rallies. They never held information.
Yeah.
And insecurity problems all over the world unite a nation. They don't divide a nation.
You said they refused and they rejected your calls for national dialogue.
Indeed.
They said use the institutions, existing institutions, including Parliament.
Yes.
Right now you're saying when you're going to for this referendum, you'll use Parliament in some of the issues. Why are you changing now?
Exactly.
First of all, does CORD have faith in Parliament?
Exactly. Let me answer it by starting from the beginning. Why our brothers on the other side are fixated on the issue of Parliament is because they live in the world of euphoria and utopia of the tyranny of numbers. The point is this: we refuse to have national dialogue issues in the National Assembly because many of the participants, including Uhuru Ruto, Raila Kalonzo, would not be allowed to do anything in Parliament because they are strangers. So would be workers' representatives. So would be the clergy. So would be the media people. Everybody would be a stranger. So we wanted a table of national brotherhood that would attract all these people.
But now on some issues, you're going through Parliament.
Now on some issues, we are going through Parliament, and those are the issues that require mere legislation. And he will agree with me that critical legislation, including the one we are debating this week from them, we are all supporting them across the board, the divide.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because not everything we do should lead to disagreement.
All right.
Let me come to women.
Yes.
First of all, it's not true what the Senator is saying. Yeah. Parliament is not, I mean, the Constitution, Article 118, 119 require Parliament to get out of the strictures of Parliament and get out there and public participation. That's why there are parliamentary committees, investigations, and so forth, which allows everybody to appear before them and give their suggestions. Parliament can even allow anyone to come and address the floor of the House. The point is this. The point is this. There is nowhere CORD or any other institution or person who wants to amend the Constitution can go without Parliament.
But he's put it differently, although many of CORD have said they don't have faith in Parliament. Are they not right with the tyranny of numbers?
If you
and
don't
what happens in Parliament?
But that's what I'm saying. Even if you don't have faith in Parliament, you will have to live with Parliament. If you need to amend the Constitution, you need Parliament. If you need to pass a legislation, you need Parliament.
So they don't have a choice.
In any case, Hussein, there is a misuse of the word tyranny of numbers. The definition, let me come to that. The definition of democracy by itself, The reason why Obama is working so hard in these coming elections to win now a house that can allow him to finish his term with certain legacy issues is because democracy, one of the faults of democracy is tyranny of numbers. It's the definition of democracy.
And that is why they are concerned that whatever they do, it won't.
In any case, it will still come to Parliament. Even the amendment of that constitution still comes to Parliament.
Senator Murkomen played a very critical role in drafting the current constitution. And he knows the wisdom of bringing in amendment of the constitution through popular initiative. It is because the drafters, him included, knew that a time might come when Parliament would misbehave the way it is doing.
Right.
We now want to subject you to the tyranny of the masses of Kenya.
Okay, we'll stop it at that for now. We're going to another commercial break. A few more issues to talk about, including what CORD proposes, and that is devolving security. Is that possible? Our big question tonight is CORD's quest for a referendum tenable. Keep sending us your comments on 22422 and on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to The Big Question. This is the final part. We're asking tonight is CORD's quest for a referendum tenable. We're going to talk about, finally now, security and why they want it devolved. Somebody says, my name is Wilfred from Busia. I request CORD to include on their referendum agenda the issue of returning the health services docket to the national government and leave security where it is now if they expect support from Wananchi. And Samuel Kabete, from Kabete, says, Hussein, my brother, county governments have trouble handling health and finances. And you want to say we give them security? God forbid. So how do you plan to go about that, by the way? What do you mean when you say you want to devolve security, or you want security devolved?
Security, in fact, the first person to give the impression that he needs machinani to be involved in security is the president himself. He has been promoting, including misusing public funds on adverts, or billboards, promoting Nyumba Kumi. What we are saying, instead of using Nyumba Kumi, use the structure of the devolved government. Let me give you an example. Currently, if there were the local leaders in Isli or in Lamu who are in charge of their own security, you would not be having the detention camp at Kasarani. You would not still be having the governor of Lamu being arraigned in court simply because Jubilee doesn't know
by local
what's
leaders,
going on.
You mean what? The highest there is the governor. Do you mean the governor?
Yes, the governor. The governor then will have structures below him.
Okay.
And this,
Yeah, okay.
the governor of Lamu, having structures below him, he knows who is in control of Mpeketoni. And when an external force arrives in Mpeketoni, coupling with national intelligence through NIS, then the governor of Lamu will be completely in control of security. Let us accept it. The old structure is just not working.
First of all, Hussein, I think that is completely fault. We depoliticized security in the country in the Constitution, made the National Police Service an independent institution, and created a commission to make it independent because we wanted to link it from the day-to-day politics. In fact, the only clause that the president comes is because one person as a commander-in-chief, but the whole structure of policing in the country is an independent commission that is supposed to protect both national and county governments. Two, I participated in the working on the legislation for county, and I went to the most marginalized areas. And Kenyans, unfortunately, that's as a matter of fact, other countries like US have devolved to security and so forth. But Kenyans have become, first of all, don't trust themselves in terms of clans. I went to places in Northeastern, for example, where someone was saying, if the governor comes from this clan, and this clan is fighting with this clan, we will have a problem with security. Matters of tribalism and devolution of security becomes a problem. So there is no sufficient maturity demonstrated, even at the moment, by the county governments and the county leadership that Kenyans are willing to say that they can trust a government to run the security of a county.
The statement you are talking about majority, that we do not have the majority for us to devolve security. It is the same archaic argument that Moi used when he was saying the country was not mature enough to go multi-party. Now today you are multi-party, you are enjoying the fruits of second revolution.
Well, can I say the same?
Yes,
if this referendum would fail, will be presented with security and IBC, it will be stillborn.
Okay. It's what Senator Murkomen was saying, and I'll put it more directly.
Yes.
We have certain counties in this country where we know governors or MPs are elected on the basis of their majority of their clans. Yes. That happens. Yes. We know we have clans fight in different counties. Yes. How do you expect a governor who comes from a certain clan to oversee security and the other clans to have confidence with that governor?
You are understanding the structure of security partially. The way security will operate under our thinking is that the national police will still be there. The NIS will still be there. However, they will be complemented by the county government to the extent that just like the president is the chairman of the National Security Council, at the county government, the governor will be the chairman.
So what you're saying, in other words, if I'm getting you right, and what is most important is the command, isn't it?
It's the command.
So command comes from the governor.
Yes.
And still, back to my question.
And then you see, let me give you an example. My home. My home, I have a county called Bungoma. In Bungoma, the governor, to win his election, he had to bring on board the minority Sabaot. In a similar way, if the governor is in charge of security, he'll play affirmative action to make sure that the local dynamics of security in Sabaot will also be on board on a day-to-day basis.
That can also go either way.
Yes, exactly. Let me say something.
Finally.
Security is about trust. The Kenyan people, if you go to what we call cosmopolitan counties, like Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Nakuru, Nairobi, the Kenyans have not reached a stage where they can say they can trust sectarian political leadership. In fact, part of the insecurity in the country is politicians, by the way. And to trust that a local politician to be in charge of the security to the exclusion of the other community will be a big problem. Without blinking, I can tell you, saying that as long as security and IBC will be the referendum question code is bringing, that referendum process will be stillborn.
There is no way you think security can be handled by the counties, bring up the counties' component in security? Because you already on record saying you have a problem with the leadership of security in the national government in this country.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. It's not a national... Security is not a national government. As I told you, it's an independent institution. Let's deal with this institution first to work before we start compounding the problem with ethnic clanism and challenges, sectarian political challenges.
So you still want?
I can tell you, my position is very clear on that.
Murkomen.
At the moment, I do not believe, and this is from my experience just less than 2 years ago, that Kenyans have reached a stage where they want a sectarian politician to be in charge of security in the county level.
We have to close, gentlemen, because of time. And my final question is to you, and you'll have to respond with one answer.
Yes.
When are we likely to see that referendum?
The referendum is on the way and is likely going to start having dates as soon as our committee of experts has given us the referendum question. That is when the time starts ticking.
Those are many words. Well, thank you for watching The Big Question. Of course, we're now going to look at some of your feedbacks on Twitter. And Janet Bogwa will be joining me in her studio right now. At Abala K, The Big Question. CORD must really do a lot of work to convince the tyranny of numbers in the assemblies. For county assemblies, they have 24. They have
Okay, at Obuya Stephen, referendum is a constitutional right and all the barriers will be overcome. Laws are made for man and not man for laws. Okay, that's the hashtag, The Big Question. At Mwamburi V, the issues raised are legitimate and must be subjected to a referendum. Okay.
At Osani Mose, if CORD and Jubilee were honest, they would have discussed the solutions long ago. Our politicians are untrue.
Okay, at CK Ibinda, how can we entrust governors with security when they can't even handle basics like sanitation and health?
That is Charles Kibinda. Okay. And at Sahil Seth Shah, then again, increasing the number of security guards, CCTV cameras can be done with the current devolved system. Yes. Right, and finally, a very interesting text here on 2242. Swale from Simotwo says, Hussein, we need a referendum, yes, but not on what CORD is saying. My opinion is they bring a referendum on whether to remove women reps, reduce number of MPs, remove nominated MPs and MCAs, reduce number of commissions, and maybe what Senator Murkomen has said, removing CECs and empower MCAs, increase money to the counties.
You agree?
I don't know if both of you agree with that.
Yes.
They agree with that.
That is very informative.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, Senator Elgeyo Marakwet County, and Kakamega County Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale. Thank you so much for making time for The Big Question tonight. And thank you for watching The Big Question. I'm Hussein Mohammed. Have a good night.
I'm Janet Buga. Thank you for watching. Good night.